Hey everyone, it's Ashton Addison from EventChain and the CryptoCanucks and the Crypto Coin Show. We're here at the Blockchain Futurist Conference in Toronto with Toni Lane, the CEO of CULTU.RE and co-founder of Telegraph. It's a pleasure having you here today, Toni.
It is awesome to be here. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I would love to hear what CULTU.RE is doing with global citizenship. I know you guys are really working on some innovative things.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, if you think about the way identity actually works and the way we think about identity, you know, the idea that we have one body that verifies we exist from the time of birth, and they give us one number, and that's how we identify our whole planet. There are so many people being born outside of nation states that are in transition, that are global nomads. I have friends who literally have not been in one place for longer than a week in a couple of years. And so the way we think about this process of identification in relation to the space of our birth, it no longer fits the way we're actually organizing as a planet and as a humanity. So it's basically the idea that our identity is owned by us and stewarded by our community. And not only our identity, but that our identity is a social function, and so are all forms of agreements. So that who you are, and the agreements you make in the world, and the agreements other people make about your identity are all stewarded by a community on one platform called Web of Trust. So let's say that you want to be a global nomad, and that you don't want to live in any one nation, but you want to support your communities of relevance. You want to participate in the transition out of the nation-state government and into community-oriented models of new governance networks. So you essentially would say, well, I'm registering my identity and I'm verified by my friends in my community. So I have this guy over here, and he can verify me because he knows who I am. And he can also say that I have skills as a carpenter because we went to Puerto Rico and we rebuilt roofs on houses for 6 months down there. And so I have that skill, and he can verify that skill. And I can verify that he's an amazing father because I've seen him with his kids and they are just the light of his life. So you're actually building, as a process of identity, a contextual portrait around who a person is, what their skills are, and what their communities of reference are. And that actually provides a benefit both to undocumented populations and nomadic populations and nations. Because if you have a refugee or a migrant who wants to apply for citizenship, the current process for this is literally like a lottery. Whether or not you get in, right? And that model doesn't serve anymore. So you can actually see, okay, here's this person and here are their skills. So if we let them into our economy, here's the kind of job a person might have. Here's a way to maybe staff them, or a community that might want to house them. And in that way, we're reuniting our identity with our perception of our humanity, with our compassion in action, instead of just a series of arbitrary numbers, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
There's been an ever-increasing amount of global nomads, you know, especially in the blockchain industry. We've become one people, right? And a lot of the people in our industry consider themselves to be global citizens, right?
Yeah.
And these imaginary lines that have been written on maps for years are starting to fade as we travel around the world, and the world becomes a smaller place as we go more so, and I'm feeling the same as well. It's, you know, we can go to the other side of the world and come back, and we can have communities on both sides of the world, and we should be able to be accepted in both of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's very interesting. So,
yeah.
Do you guys have a large community online with CULTU.RE, or how can people get involved in it?
Yeah, so the open source standard that I'm talking about, now CULTU.RE is something a little bit different. So CULTU.RE is basically a marketplace for all of these new communities that are emerging. I have around 1,000 or more friends that are talking about buying, you know, 5 to 30 to 700 to 5,000 acres to an island, and they're acquiring massive amounts of property to build communities on. And to say, you know, we're just like stewarding this house that's being left behind by the last generation. We're a new generation that's coming in to, you know, take over this land, and we're building an intentional community here. And so this transition is already happening. People are already aggregating into this. And so what CULTU.RE is actually building is a marketplace for all of these new communities to have access to each other so they can share people and share skills and also access to service programs they might want to integrate. So what that means is that you're taking, like, let's say you want to use Doc AI for your health stuff, and you want to use, this blockchain for your medical records or whatever you'd like to use. So you can actually aggregate as a community a basket of currencies that your community is using to support itself. And so Culture is a marketplace for communities. We talk about, it's like Open Bazaar is like a marketplace, like a decentralized eBay. But what we're actually doing is we're taking something that's inherent in the way we think about the shift of the next generation. You could say it's like the next generation of something like Facebook. That Facebook was this thing that helps you connect with your friends, and we are this thing that helps connect you with communities and helps connect communities with economies. Now, our open source standard is Web of Trust, and that's in the Blockchain Commons, which is an organization stewarded by Christopher Allen, who's the co-author of TLS, and he's also previously the principal architect of Blockstream.
Okay.
So Web of Trust is that Web of Trust is our gift to the world. It's the ability for everyone to have access to that registration system for free, for everyone, forever, because it shouldn't cost you anything to own your identity or to register your agreements, and we really firmly believe that. So that's our big open source wing. That's our gift back.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate the efforts that you guys are doing with this initiative, and I believe that everyone should have the ability to own their own identities, have a black box to give whatever you want, just give a small piece to this person, piece to this person, and it's time to stop the giving up our information for convenience, right? So we're taking back the power. So I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I love it. Thank you so much.
Ditto.